Have you started spending on items which you were not supposed to spend? Adir ji, please don't imagine that I have a discretion to play around with Finance Commission's recommendations. I'm not doing anything is the next allegation. I can't do anything is my answer. No, why don't you meet them? I've met them. But you're not doing anything. I can't.
The Karnataka Legislative Assembly on Thursday adopted a resolution condemning what it called the stepmotherly attitude of the centre. The Siddaramaiah-led government alleged that the centre is destroying the state's economy by causing huge financial losses by denying it the rightful share of taxes. Now, the war of funds between Siddaramaiah-led Congress government in Karnataka and Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has made me question time and again who is right and who is wrong, or could it be that both are right in their own sense? To dissect the complex formulas of the Finance Commission which sparked the South tax movement led by Siddaramaiah, we are now joined in by Narendra Pani, a renowned economist from Karnataka. Thank you for joining us, sir. So,
Thank you for having me.
Before I get into the discussion here, now what I'd like to do is basically take a deeper look, and I want to read out specific tweets here and get the views of Pani to understand which claims made by Siddaramaiah have merit and which don't. And I'll also take a look at the responses made by Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to see if she was right to say that there was no truth to claims that the centre was discriminating against Karnataka and other non-BJP ruled states in the release of the funds. So let me get into it. Let me read out the first tweet here. Now, Siddaramaiah claims that under the 14th Finance Commission, Karnataka received 4.71% of the tax share. And he said that this was reduced to 3.6% by the 15th Finance Commission. And he further goes on to say that there is a 1.07% decrease, which resulted in estimated loss of 62,000 crore for Karnataka over 5 years. And to compensate this, the 15th Finance Commission recommended a special grant of 5,495 crore for Karnataka in the interim budget, which Nirmala Sitharaman declined. Now, before we dissect this further, let me just play out what Nirmala Sitharaman said in response to this.
Adhir Ranjan ji saying in this first place only said 6 months. Till 6 months it was all hunky-dory. Now it's not. Can I, seeking your indulgence, say, till 6 months if it was hunky-dory, what's going wrong now? Have you started spending on items which you were not supposed to spend? I'm not even questioning that. Do spend it. But don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on the centre, because it goes by the rule book. It has to give it, it will give. If the expenditure are going into areas which cannot be sustained by your budget, I'm not answerable for that. So, Adhir ji, I'm sorry, till 6 months ago, which government was there, it's not my role now to talk. Hunky-dory it was. No, it's not. Introspect, please. You're saying that. I didn't say that. You're saying that. Sir, therefore, Adhir ji, I respect him. I give him detailed answer. But if there is an insinuation that it's because me holding money here, I'm sorry. When the Finance Commission comes, please tell your needs. Please tell your requirements. Please tell your status. And let the Finance Commission fix it. It's a constitutional body. Sir?
Okay.
Finance Commission is now... Oh, 1 minute.
Please.
Oh, surely. I'll certainly sit with the Karnataka Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, Honorable D.K. Shukmarji came and met me. He told me about the difficulties. I've heard him. I've given them the matter-of-fact answer. It's not as if I don't want to meet state authorities, state ministers. I can't do as long as the Finance Commission doesn't tell me to do. Constitutionally, unless the Finance Commission tells me to do something, I cannot. I don't have the discretion. Adhir ji, please don't imagine that I have a discretion to play around with Finance Commission's recommendations. Please talk to the Finance Commission. I'm not talking about generosity. Sir, I'm talking about Finance Commission's recommendation, which I follow to the last word. I'm not talking about anybody's generosity. So let us please talk on the terms. Finance Commission gives me a recommendation, I follow it. Now suddenly Adirji says, meet up the state. I've met up the state. I'm not doing anything is the next allegation. I can't do anything is my answer. No, why don't you meet them? I've met them. But you're not doing anything. I can't.
All right. There you have it, Mr. Narendra Pani. You heard what Nirmala Sitharaman had to say there. She has underlined that while devolution of funds is collected under direct taxes, but it is done as per the recommendations of the Finance Commission. However, what Siddaramaiah claims is that the tax share has reduced by approximately 3.6% by the 15th Finance Commission. So, how do we understand this? What do you make of it, Mr. Pani?
You see, I think they're talking, first of all, the first part of the finance minister's response in terms of expenditure, that doesn't enter the picture. The debate is not about what is being spent on what. The debate is about funding. Who gives, whether you're getting your share of this of the funds. Now the Finance Commission made 15th Finance Commission made certain changes in the way it was going to calculate shares, right? Particularly with regard to the population that it was going to use. Instead of 1971 population, it used 2011 population, which benefited the states that had not been successful in controlling their population.
Yes.
It also took on several other elements, which generally created its measurement of capital, its distance from the top, various other factors came into picture, which ensured that Karnataka's share did decline, as the Chief Minister's tweet said. Right? Now, once that happened, I think a representation was sort of made to the Finance Commission, and they suggested an additional amount of 5,000 odd crores to be given to Karnataka. It is that second payment that has not come from that. That is very much within the finance minister's hand, right?
Okay.
It was expected, and the finance commissioner had said that the central government can give this because Karnataka had taken a massive blow in the basic way in which it was calculated. Its share was calculated because its share had dropped by nearly 1 percentage point. It had it, and that's about 62 or about 60,000 crores. It was necessary to compensate. This was a minor computation. Compared to a loss of around 60,000 and odd crores, you were getting just 5,000 odd crores. That was all. But even that 5,000 crores has not been paid. That is the point at issue. It is not about expenditure at all.
All right. So, coming from the devolution of taxes under the Finance Commission, now switching focus to the second tweet of Siddaramaiah, where he talks about how unscientific the GST is. Now, he goes on to say that the union government went ahead with the implementation, and before GST, our tax collection growth was at 15%. And then he says that this compensation was discontinued in June 2022 after just 5 years. This cessation has significantly impacted our ability to achieve a 15% tax collection growth rate again. Now he says that he has appealed to the center for continuation of this compensation, but the center has yet to make a decision on the matter. As a result, the state continues to face unjust treatment under the GST regime. So, what do you make of this tweet by Siddaramaiah?
You see, the GST regime had a guarantee of I think it was 14% growth that had to be that was to be met by the center. In case the GST dropped below that, the center would compensate for the difference. Right? Okay. He's asking for an extension of that, but that depends on how well GST does. If your GST collections continue to grow at more than that increase, 14% increase, then there is no question of a compensation coming in. Okay. Right? But he's asking for an extension of that compensation. The bigger problem really is something that he has not mentioned. But the fact is that you do have expenditure patterns, particularly with short-term migrant labor, where you're growing within the state, but that money is being spent in the other states. Now, previously, the taxation was linked to a production system, right, at the point of production. So if you were the fast-growing state, you got the benefits of higher taxation. But now, under GST, it is linked to where the money is spent.
Okay.
So even if you are the faster growing state, the benefits of taxation are going to the places where that money is spent, which might be in the poorer states.
All right.
So the loss for the states that are growing more rapidly.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Pani sir, for explaining the second tweet there. Now let me switch over to the third tweet that Siddaramaiah has made, which talks about the state being the second highest tax collector after Maharashtra, and this is where he claims he's mentioned data year on year from 2017-18 to the current fiscal year, and what he argues here is the devolution rate has decreased from 2.2% in 2017-18 to 1.2% for the year 2024-25. Now, he says that this consistent decline in the state share highlights a growing injustice towards Karnataka while putting out certain facts in the tax devolution. So, could you explain this, Mr. Pani? What is Siddaramaiah referring to here, and how much of it is rhetoric, and how much of it is we could call it a fact?
You see, the issue is that the center collects taxes, and then the devolution takes place at two levels. One is a vertical devolution from the center to the states as a whole. The second is horizontal devolution, that is the distribution of what the states are going to get. Now, in distributing what the states are going to get, there is an equity consideration that comes in. Right,
Okay.
it's called the distance basis. You take the state with the highest GSDP, gross state domestic product, and if you are the further away you are from that, the greater share you get.
Okay.
Right. So there, Karnataka comes second. So as a result of which, it tends to lose out once again. Now, the equity element has to be seen at two levels. One is, should there be some transfer from the better off states to the worse off states to help them grow? Yes. But the question is that a fair transfer? If the better off states like Karnataka are creating jobs for in which these people from other poorer states can come work and go back, right? Then shouldn't they be given some compensation for that? Should they be penalized for that? Right? The other issue is that how much of this benefit can be given. When you're talking of equity, you're not just ensuring there's growth there. You're giving growth to the state governments who are not doing much with their growth, with their resources anyway. They're not generating growth in any case.
Okay.
Right? So as a country as a whole, are you in effect losing out in terms of efficiency? Because you're shifting resources from states that are able to use it productively to states that are not able to use it productively. If to an extent they are poorer states, you must give them more resources. That point is well taken, but there is such a thing as overdoing the compensation. That you give so much of the thing that it hurts the richer states, but doesn't really benefit the poorer states because they are not using it for productive growth in any case.
All right. Point noted there, Mr. Pani. Now, switching over to the fourth tweet of Siddaramaiah here, where he basically talks about cess and surcharge. Now, he says that after the budget size doubled, it was expected that the state's tax share would also double. However, it has been reduced by more than half. Furthermore, cess and surcharge have been consistently increasing each year, with not a single rupee being returned to the states, even though both cess and surcharge are collected by the states themselves. So, how do we better understand this?
You see, the cess and surcharge was expected to be short-term elements linked to a particular activity. So that is not distributed between the center and the states. So when this is collected by the states for the center, once it goes there, nothing comes back.
Okay.
The issue is like as long as this is a small amount, it doesn't matter. But the share of cess and surcharge in the total tax has been increasing massively, and that goes 100% to the center. So in a way, it is a way of working around the Finance Commission's recommendations. So that is actually much worse because the Finance Commission has a divisible pool. It says how do you divide the two elements. But if you're going to put a cess and surcharge, you're bypassing it completely. You don't have to divide that. So that becomes a thing on all states. This is not just the richer states or Karnataka alone, but this is a problem for all states.
All right. Point noted there. Now, Pani sir, the final tweet that I want to bring your attention to is grants by the center. So here, I feel that maybe Siddaramaiah has a point because he talks about grants that were sanctioned to the state by the center. He talks about 5,300 crore for the Upper Bhadra project, which was included as in Bommai's budget. Now, he says that the project is crucial as it provides water to an extensive area. Now, also, he talks about environmental clearance given for the Mahadai project, and that is also still pending. Upper Bhadra project has still not been designated as a national project. So, what do we make of the grant and aids to the center? And does Siddaramaiah have a case in this case, in basically saying the center has not delivered here?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at this more carefully and say the center is not delivered for many states, but that is no justification for this.
Okay.
There has been a slowdown. There are problems with command area development projects across the country. It's not Karnataka specific. But the fact is Karnataka is hurt. These specific examples the Chief Minister is giving are particularly relevant. And it is hurt. The defense that, there are other states that are also hurt doesn't really make a difference. None of these states, once the center makes these commitment to the states, it must deliver on them. And that has not happened.
All right. And also, Mr. Pani, I just want your thoughts on my final question here. Basically, how feasible do you think it is to reward states based on how they have controlled the population? Should this formula continue under the next Finance Commission as well?
I would think so, because they had a competition. Because otherwise, you're going to put pressure on states that have done well and encourage or incentivize states that are not doing well on population. You're already the world's most populous country, right? So you're going to have a greater problem with per capita results. We can say we are the fifth largest economy, and that will keep changing. But the fact is that you're actually in per capita terms, you're way, way below. Right? And in terms of actually social indicators, you might be even lower than some of our neighboring countries. So the issue really is that we need to recognize that population control is a factor, and incentivizing that is a problem. So one way and this will get a political weightage if it is linked to the delimiting of political constituencies, whereby the states that have controlled their population will lose out on the number of seats. And that Karnataka will be one of the states that would lose. So we need to see it in those terms. And I think the compensation was there in the 15th Finance Commission. And I would presume there will be some kind of a similar kind of mechanism here. But much would depend on Karnataka's case before the 16th Finance Commission.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Narendra Pani, for joining us on this discussion and sharing your valuable insights and helping us better understand this war between the state and the center over the funding. And basically, your biggest takeaway would be that the center is right in its own terms, and the state is also right in its own way, isn't it?
On this thing, I think the balance of the problem is definitely with Karnataka. Karnataka has a strong case here.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Narendra Pani, for joining us on this discussion today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.